Hello, and you're welcome back to Inside the Autism Classroom with myself, Amanda McGuinness, and the incredible Elaine Fitzgerald, Autism Class teacher. And I suppose if you've joined us this far along, we're now on episode 5, and today we're going to focus on training, education, and resource recommendations. So I suppose, Elaine, we were chatting, I think, a little bit in episode 4 about your postgraduate studies you've been recently undertaking in St. Angela's. Do you maybe want to start there, I suppose, to kick off the podcast about training and education for Autism Class teachers?
I do, thank you. When Aisling had mentioned about going into the Autism Class, I started doing a few of the Middletown courses as well, and Middletown just amazing stuff, and they're great because the webinars are so accessible, and so it's such a good start because again, people will sometimes be notified quite late in the day that they're going to be moving in, and you don't have time to sign up for a postgrad, or you don't have time to do a postgrad in general. So Middletown is super for that, and the NCSE courses are absolutely amazing. And again, they can be hard to get onto as well. So it's a tricky one. I feel like, and it's not my place to say what should be happening in the world, but I feel like there should be some compulsory training there, or training that you access automatically if you are going into an autism class, because teachers deserve that training, the children deserve that training, everybody deserves it in order to give the kids the best start, because it's not the same as is in a mainstream school, and we do it a disservice, our mainstream class, I mean, we do it a disservice if we say it is, because you do need specialist training of some description in order to get started. So I started with those, and I started with a few NCSE courses, and then I applied then for the postgraduate diploma in autism studies, and it was amazing because I could break it up. There's 4 modules. I could break it up over 2 years. I have 2 young kids of my own. I was not fit to do 4 modules. There's no way in a year. So it was just that lovely option to be able to do that. And there wasn't a huge amount of contact hours at the weekend. There was only a couple of, I suppose, online webinars. And then other than that, everything else is NCSE courses. So, and you get automatic access, which I think is really important for teachers to know, because anyone who's teaching for a few years will know that getting on the NCSE course is like hen's teeth. It is like getting tickets to the Mayo All Ireland, which I'm currently trying to do. So so it is so difficult. Like they go up someday, excuse me, in July, and they're gone. They're all sold out. A lot of them are sold out very quickly. So if you are on the postgrad, you just send the link to the NCSE and say, my name is Elaine, I'm doing the postgrad in SEN and autism, and can I have access to this? And they just send you a registration link when you're done. So it's nearly worth it alone to be able to get onto those courses. And then you have to give your list of courses that you've sent in. I've just done that actually about a month ago, and I'm hoping to God have them all done, because I won't be able to go back repeating in a year, I can tell you. And then you've got I suppose 4 assignments, then 1 per module. And the first one is going to be your SSP. So it's actually a detailed student support plan based on a child in your class or that you're supporting, with obviously all details removed that can be identifying them. And then, but it's quite long. It is, but it was great for me, I suppose, because I had been an SET for 5 years previous to that. So I knew the SSP inside out, back to front, and I kind of thought, I don't know if I need to do this again. But actually looking at it from an autism class lens completely made me rethink how I was looking at it. And also those up-to-date information around it as well was really helpful. So, and then based on that, you have somebody that comes from St. Angela's, and they come to observe you in your setting, and they sit and, and they watch what's going on. And as I said, they come in, you're like, I don't know how today's going to go, but you're welcome to sit down and just, observe. But I also said, if any of my kids find it stressful that you're here, they'll be booted out, mark or no mark, I don't care. If anyone was feeling dysregulated, one of the children in my class can find it very hard when new people coming in and out, and have become much more flexible. But at the start, it was really stressful for them. But I said, you're welcome as far as this child is happy. And if this child is happy, stay as long as you want. But it has to be child first, obviously. So the thing I loved about the NCSE courses is, and I know people have asked me this before in the past, is it up to date? Like, is it neuroaffirming? Is that the line that they're on? And I have to say it is completely, like it's completely as up to date as I can tell you it is. You know what I mean? I am no expert, but it is all about regulation. Even, I suppose, their approach to teaching the courses is all about us as adults being regulated in the classroom first and foremost, which I thought was so lovely. There's more and more autistic teachers. in the courses now. So there's more and more autistic teachers teaching autistic learners. You know what I mean? So they have that lived experience, and they have the authentic experience as well. And, so it's lovely to see them in that role as well. And so it was very important that for us, first of all, that we were regulated in at the course, and they would have like fidgets, or like thinking toys as they call them, thinking tools in the middle of the table. We would have regulation breaks, we'd have comfort breaks and everything. So even that is the first sign of we're all heading in the right direction. We're all trying to change our thinking, and each and every, they used to apologize sometimes, was there anyone who does a few NCSE courses, which I did obviously because postgrad, they're like, you'll have seen this bit so many times, that there's all about neuroaffirmative language. These are the words we don't say anymore. These are now, it's all strengths based. It's all, so it is very much heading in the correct direction, I would say. So that was a really good start. And they did come in and observe, and that was really good too. Good to get feedback. And, I think sometimes I would have welcomed more feedback in ways, or more observations, because you're kind of, as I said down there. I don't mean it in I'm literally down the stairs at the bottom of the classroom of the school. So that's, but you are kind of on your own a little bit down there. So, a little bit of someone to come in and just keep an eye on you, and then maybe give you some ideas would have been great, So it'd be lovely to provide that sort of network for autism class teachers, I think.
I felt like it was like a, clip of like Harry Potter. You're just down in the dungeon doing your best. Well, you do
Winding
your
stairs.
best. Yeah, you're just like, goodbye, goodbye world. Okay. I suppose
Not that
then
dramatic.
oh no, it's lovely. I suppose I was thinking about a name keeps popping up, and I think she's a phenomenal lady all throughout the podcast. Is the one and only Dee Hogan from Middletown Centre for Autism? My hat is off to Middletown Centre as well. They're just phenomenal. And Dee, I suppose I would say, is a thought leader in that area. So do you want to chat a little bit about, I suppose, the influence of the outstanding Middletown Centre for Autism, and in particular the Dee Hogan, I suppose, the Dee Hogan effect, we're going to call it on the podcast. She's a phenomenal lady. Do you want to chat a little bit about their influence
Yeah.
on your practice, and how useful it is for other practitioners listening?
Yeah, like I had done a few of the Middletown courses. I found them excellent, obviously, and the amount of research that's going on there is so over my head. I'm not an academic. My brain doesn't work like that. These people who can go off and research and whatever, it's a fair play to you. It's not who I am. But thank God someone is doing it. It's really important. But I then was doing an NCSE course on autism and anxiety, and it was in Dublin. And at the time, I went up for 2 days up Tala, and at the time, I had an essay I had to finish, and my priority was to go up there and kind of listen in. I like noise in the background when I'm trying to do work. So I was like, look, because there can be an awful lot of repetition at times. So I thought, at least if there's something useful, I will hear it and I can be tapping away and get it done. Well, I didn't so much as type a letter or a word, because I couldn't take my eyes off her. I couldn't. I just couldn't do anything. I ended up just shutting the laptop because I was too distracted by the screen in front of me. And I sat and I was like this, going the whole time, for anyone who's watching the video, mouth open. She's just, the way she spoke, and like her breadth of her knowledge and her experience. But that's all great. I've heard all of that from different people before, and hers, I would say, is actually phenomenal. But it was just her passion for the child, and to be as long at it as she is. She did say a number at some point, all right, but a very, very long time, and to still have that sort of respect for the children, and and just to prioritize them and the future, and to think about what are we doing, and something that loads of things she said that struck me. But I remember being in that particular course, and she said, anyone teaching older children, are you still holding their hands when you're going out, or bringing them different places? And we don't want we want to prepare them for the future. We want them to be, we want just little things like that you're talking about, going swimming, and we want to make sure that they're dressing themselves. You need to be able to be sure that these children are going to be able to live away from you and to function when you're not their teacher anymore. Like, look at things you're doing and assess your practice all the time, and make sure that what you're doing is preparing them to leave you, basically. And also to reduce vulnerability. She said, it's obviously some children will need their hand to be held. That's appropriate for some children. But if it's just out of habit, we don't want them to be walking off holding hands with people. We don't want them to think that's okay with an adult they don't know. So, and then when it came to, like making sure that they were dressing themselves, that she said that's very important in swimming, that they're doing that themselves, because again, the less they're going to rely on other people to do things, the less vulnerable they're going to be. So we want to, she was always thinking about the next step, and she told all these lovely stories about children that she had supported over the years, and how little things had happened and it was hard. And she said, she was constantly talking about the problem solving element of her job, and how you were constantly trying to get down to the bottom. What was it that was causing the anxiety, or what was it that was upsetting the child? And she said, you have to be patient. It could take months to get there, sometimes longer. And when you got there, then you just kind of unhooked that little nugget that was bothering them. And then, it could develop them so much in the future. And then I contacted the Middletown, because I'm pest. And I emailed them and I said, is there any chance I could speak to her directly? I had a query about a particular topic I really wanted to ask her. And she rang me straight away. We were on the phone for an hour. And I was like, if anyone knows, I'm absolutely obsessed with music, and particularly Celine Dion. It was like talking to Celine Dion of autism. I was like, I just couldn't believe I was on the phone to her. It's just, but someone who's that accessible, and so open to talking about their experience, so lucky, absolutely so lucky to have her.
Amazing. I was just thinking as you were saying that, I was thinking of, the Titanic song. It's like Rose and are you Jack Dawson, or whichever way it goes. But you're like, my heart will go on. Amazing, amazing.
Oh, she's just
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, she is a phenomenal, phenomenal. I mean, as I say, my head's too big for a hat, but if I could get one on my head, I would take it off and say I tip my hat to her. Amazing, a human being, amazing, and literally changing the world for all of our children and for ourselves as professionals as well, leading the way. Okay, so I suppose one of the things we were going to chat about today was observing in other classrooms as well is so important. Can you chat a bit about the influence of that on your work, how it's helped you, and also why you would recommend it to anybody, I suppose, listening in that's working now in an autism class for the first time, perhaps, or returning, or what?
Yes, I went to Knockruski. That's where I went to. When I was heading over to the school that you have so much love for and respect. So I did. I knew about their reputation, and I was really eager to just see what it looked like. What did the day look like? What did the schedule look like? How did the teacher manage different situations? I was only there for about an hour. I would have stayed if I could have gotten in for 3 days. I would have. And I know that's tricky. Like if you're coming from an infant classroom and you're going into you can't just leave your infants that June to go in and observe, but it really and truly it is invaluable, and I'll often people will sometimes contact me, and I think it's funny that I'm at the stage someone wants to observe me, but that I am, if anyone says, can I come in and observe? Absolutely, whatever you want, whatever makes life easier, and I'll always share resources and stuff, because that network of teachers helping each other is so brilliant. And there are a couple of local networks of autism class teachers that we meet now and again if we can, have a cup of tea, just talk about our experience, share resources, share ideas, and even professionals as well. So God, I found this super OT, she was really helpful. Maybe I'll pass on her number, things like that, So I think that network of teachers is amazing. And if you can get into observing a classroom, I would absolutely recommend it. Yeah, that's it. Because I suppose the CT&T will also provide some training, and they'll do a lot of training for parents. And I know you have probably both attended and done the training, but Amanda, it can be great as well. And if you go to them and tell them you're kind of seeking something particular, they can be great for trying to find it. So the NCC are good too if you contact the NCC and ask for something. We had been talking about, I suppose, crisis prevention training and that sort of support as well. And we had mentioned the NCC a couple of times in our courses, and then they actually put it up in May. So we did it in May. So that was great. Kind of a train the trainer. So, but you do have to keep going. You can't have to keep upskilling because things are changing so rapidly. They've changed so much in 2 years since I've started. It's crazy. So, you have to keep going. That part of it.
I suppose, and every new learning adds to the old learning as well and helps you kind of change your viewpoint. Like, I suppose in the organization that I work for, Flourish, I'm being booked all the time now. Years ago, it might have been just autism solely. Now it's usually around something like, say, intellectual disability, or a persistent drive for autonomy, or say puberty toileting, or boundaries, relationships, especially in the special school arena. So I can see how even just in terms of training needs, it has changed so dramatically. But as you say, all of the learning that you've taken along with you. It's going to build upon nearly everything you've learned before and expand, I suppose, horizons of knowledge bases that you have. I suppose that kind of closes out for today. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about assessment, challenges and adaptation. So again, huge thanks to the phenomenal Elaine Fitzgerald, who has referenced Celine Dion, and I've referenced Harry Potter on this podcast. So no sponsored posts here. But listen, huge thanks to yourself, and we'll be back again tomorrow for, I think that's our final episode tomorrow, is it? Episode 6?
Imagine.
Gosh, imagine you stuck it out listening to me now for 6 episodes and allowed me to spend time with your incredible self. So listen, back again tomorrow for episode 6. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.